Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to the BlackUSA.News morning show. My name's Donnie Glover, and we're being joined by attorney Sam Curry. Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Good morning, Donnie Glover. How you doing this morning?
Man, blessed by the best. No need to be stressed. Keep my head to the sky. No need to cry because ain't nobody gonna listen no way.
Yeah, man. I love that. I like that, you know.
So, Sam, let's talk about it a little bit. You are an attorney.
Yes, I am. I am a practicing attorney predominantly. My office is located downtown Baltimore, law office of Samuel Curry. General practice, but primarily I've been focused on a lot of civil litigation, basic lawsuits, in both the district court, which would be a more smaller claim, and circuit court, which we have those larger claims, longer, more costly litigation. So for the most part, still take criminal cases, accident cases, but a lot of the cases have been lawsuits.
Okay. And where'd you go to law school?
I graduated University of Baltimore. Last attended there in 2001, and been licensed in Georgia, DC, and Maryland. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit of time right at the school.
Atlanta. I know a little bit about Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was another school. What school did you go to there?
No. So I went to law school here at University of Baltimore. Okay. And then when I moved to Atlanta, I just took the bar exam down for Georgia bar exam.
Okay. I went to school in Atlanta. I figured that Morehouse and Spelman, I just thought those were the only schools there in Atlanta. That's all I was alluding to.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I visited the campus, though. It's called the AU, and it's like an entertaining it's in the early 2000s anyway, so it was entertaining to be down there.
Good deal. Now, we're being joined by a young dynamo, a young titan. I don't know if you've ever come across him on the streets of Baltimore, but he tends to roll with a camera. So
okay,
where your tool is the law, this young man uses this camera.
Okay.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Greetings, gentlemen. Greetings.
Good morning, Mr. Cornish.
Good morning, Mr. Carde.
So yesterday I was having a discussion with the young man here in the city of Baltimore, Bobby Marvin, and it dawned on me how I have to do a better job communicating with the next generation. It's an ongoing challenge, but we all stand a lot to learn, and so we're going to take advantage of COVID and get some more perspective on Baltimore from you two men.
Yes,
who love this city. Sam, what part of town you from?
I grew up in West Baltimore, a neighborhood called the White Lock neighborhood, and I came out of that neighborhood in the mid-90s.
Did you play ball around at John Eager Howard?
Yeah, I went to John Eager Howard Elementary School, and we would play basketball on that court. That's the same court they shot. Robert Townsend shot that movie.
Media Man.
Yeah. Yep. In '93. Yeah. And we played basketball, Cloverdale, Druid Hill Park, all the courts are all over there. I was on all those courts.
You can't be a slouch and play around there.
Yeah. It's a lot of jokes and a lot of you not getting picked. Everybody got next, but you might not get picked if you're not playing right. Yeah.
Slouches get no love around there. I'm gonna keep it real. So, Carde, what part of town do you hail from?
I'm from 2100 Pennsylvania Avenue, Pennsylvania and Bloom. Grew up. My parents grew up around that area, the Sandtown, Winchester area. So, for about as far as you can see, looking up the avenue and down the avenue, that's my area.
I know that neighborhood.
Carde, take me back to the spring of 2015. Freddie Gray had just died, and whether he was killed or however it happened, he died in police custody.
Right. I remember that day from this perspective. I was working at Joy Heights Community Development Corporation, And I remember it was just, we were getting word, like just in the center, like, oh, you know what's going on at Mondawmin? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, the young people moving down Pennsylvania Avenue. And before I could hear anything else, I run out the building. I'm at work, but I run out the building with my camera because I wasn't sure what to be expecting at all. Nobody knew what to be expecting. And by the time I got up to Penn North, there was a transit car on fire, and it appeared to be very chaotic. And at the same time, people seem to have been relieving themselves of whatever stresses were on them. Being a human who faces frustrations, you know what it feels like sometimes when you just feel very aggravated with a situation. And that's what I seen. I seen the people who are bunch of people who are very aggravated with a situation respond to whatever's frustrating them in that moment. And how they chose to do that, you know, who's to say that they're wrong? Somebody slap you, if you go get a gun and shoot that person, you were slapped. You don't get to choose how you respond to a situation. Or a person doesn't get to choose how you respond to them. So I responded with my camera and just trying to understand what was taking place.
What kind of pictures did you shoot?
I got a lot of the shoot from the hip stuff, capturing friends, different peers that was out there, different things taking place. I captured one silly photo. It was real silly. It was a guy with a wiffle ball bat, a plastic bat, and I mean he was so enraged. He had a wiffle ball bat beating at a bulletproof glass. So I don't know what he was thinking he was going to accomplish with that, but that's where he was with it, and that's what it was. That's what it was for him, and many other people throwing stuff, breaking stuff, and shouting, whatever it may be. It was a time of everybody getting out their frustrations.
Sam, what do you remember about that day?
I feel like that day effectively ended former Mayor Rollins Blake's political career, man. I think it showed that she had a real enemy in Annapolis with Governor Hogan, and he trounced on her. I mean, he outed her, said he couldn't reach her nor the police commissioner. And the unfortunate thing about it is that all of the information leading up to it seemed to suggest that that they had the previous intel, knowing that this was going to happen. And so that not only did it happen, but there was just absolutely no response to it that was even reasonable, like there would be a prepared response. But even worse than that, the fact that the governor outed in the media constantly that he could not reach either the police commissioner or the mayor, and then when she does show up, it was like as if she had just came out the beauty. So like her face was just looking too good. It was clear that her career was done. She could not run for re-election that next term. I look at that community because I remember that was the station I always caught the subway at, which was Penn North. I remember before the CVS was there, I went across the street to the library in middle school when I was at Lamell. This is the library I would stop at. So I know that corner, like I cashed my first check working for the city at 14 right there. So I just know that's my, that Pennsylvania North Avenue. And since then, there's always a police car right directly across the street. They're just sitting in a police car to this day. They just sit there. And the activity at that particular corner, the drug activity is rampant. It's like last year, you wouldn't even have known COVID was even existing with the amount of people that's always there at that corner. So when I relate back to that day, I was somewhat disappointed with the weight of frustration was you know, was fostered, but it was so many young people. You know, once you started seeing some of the older people, that's when I'm, you know, I was just wondering what was going on.
Carde, you were pondering. You had some thoughts.
I wasn't very politically educated at the time on many things. I was shooting for Nick Mosby, who was councilman at the time, and yeah, I remember feeling like one of those, feeling more on the side of one of the youth. Although I was 24, feeling more on the side of one of the youth, one of the people being talked about in the media, but I'm on the ground. So when you're seeing certain people stepping up in front of the cameras and saying things on our behalf, like defending us, but then you might step off from that scene and go home and you see the news and they talking about these thugs out there. And it's like, dang, you know, how dare they?
Oh, that was Barack Obama.
Correct. Yeah.
It just seemed like that's how everybody was pointing the finger at Baltimore, though. It seemed like that's the narrative that they wanted to get out. That's what they were saying about us. And that just drives us into more frustration.
Yeah.
So where are we now? It's 6 years later. And last year was the 5-year commemoration. You know, where are we 6 years later? We've had, since Stephanie Rawlings Blake, we've had Catherine Pugh, Jack Young, and now we have Brandon Scott as mayor. Sam, where are we now?
I think it's a clear, you'd have to be blind not to think that it hasn't been a regression in those 6 years. The fact of the matter is you have a 4-year mayoral term that Mayor Blake hadn't even finished yet. And you're talking only 6 years, and you're talking her finishing her term, a new mayor, and then another mayor. Now we got a new mayor. You're talking 4 mayors in 6 years. And so the Black community, which that frustration was clearly, it was coming out for the Black community, from the Black community, in particular, the young Black community. The opportunity gap is like even light years from what it was just in 2015. I think there's a clear regression. I don't think someone can articulate any sort of progress.
What have you seen, Carde?
From being on the ground in the Druid Heights community, I'm seeing the progress that just me and my brothers in the community are making. I realized a couple years ago that, like, dang, you know, as I'm aging, I'm becoming a part of that age of influence. Like, I'm no longer the age, the generation that we can say, oh, they failed us. I'm now part of the generation who can potentially fail the youth coming up next. So me and my friends, we out every day. Every day we out. Every day we out planning something. Every day we out engaging people in our communities. Every day we out on the avenue. You know, I see Donnie getting his breakfast. I'm out doing something with my friends. And you see the conditions. You got to figure out what solution can you bring? What solution can you bring? How can you represent these people? The mayor represents the whole city. The councilman represents the district. And some people just feel like they represent themselves as citizens, but I represent more than myself. I'm a father, and beyond me being a father to my son, I got a bunch of friends who lost their lives, who kids don't have fathers. So the men in my community, me and my brothers, we try to show them how to step up and be the fathers that these kids need to be, the big brothers that these kids need, the mentors, whatever the kids need, whatever the youth need in our community, we just try to step up. Because we were on the ground with some of these kids who are now 18 6 years ago, when they were out there, you know, venting or expressing themselves in the way that had people in national media calling them thugs. Still the same thugs. Still the same thugs. You know, whatever they stereotype us as, but we're growing. We're growing in our capacities from right where we are. And we're trying to be the change that we want to see.
You're on mute, Don.
I'm not talking about what you are doing, Carde. I want to know what you have seen since the riots in your community? What type of research? For instance, I wrote a post a couple of days ago that considering that the murders are happening in East Baltimore and in West Baltimore, considering that these are historically neglected areas, considering that here in Sandtown, where we had 3 elementary schools, we now have 1 elementary school, where we had, this is not only an education desert, it's a food desert. You can't get any fruits and vegetables between Lexington Market and Mondawmin unless you're lucky that Mondawmin's produce is up to par, other than Saturdays at the Avenue Market with no boundaries. And I'm not impressed with Shoppers' produce. Their tomatoes and cucumbers suck.
We live in a community that is aided by other communities around us. It's like it seems like some of our markets that are still here that get produce are only getting produce from food pantries, and that's as fresh as it comes. Like, it's not coming from a farm. It don't seem like it's coming from a farm. I don't know where it's coming from. It seems like it's coming from the overflow of somebody else who's able to give something. I don't know. We just seem like an aided community. Like, it seems like we're getting our own resources. We're getting whatever's left over from wherever else is coming, wherever other county or whatever. I remember working at a community center and driving out an hour away to go and get goods to bring back to the community. I don't know why we got to drive an hour out. Granted, there's no farms here in Baltimore City, but I don't know where these things are coming from. It's generous donations. We lack, and we're being aided. It sounds biblical to me.
Well, let me throw this at you, Carde, in case you do not know. Liberty Road, and I would say from Liberty and Milford to Liberty and Marriottsville, they've lost, if I'm not mistaken, 3 markets. They've lost 3 markets, including a Giant at Liberty and Milford. I want to say the Food Line at Liberty and Marriottsville, and also the market that was at Liberty and Roland Road, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe a new experience for them.
Listen to me. This is an area of upwardly mobile Black people, but they have a food desert out Liberty Road.
So now that would be the question. That was a beautiful thing that you just did. You switched it on us. You were real slick about that, Donnie. So one of the things that I like about what you're saying is now we're going into basic economics. And so the only one of the few similarities that you're speaking about, those 2 separate communities, is the color of the people. So there might be economic diversity with respect to these people are more well off, but now, is it economically viable to have supermarkets that are purchasing and trying to sell fresh fruits and vegetables and other, because I grew up, there was still the horses the guys would come around with the horses with the fruit and stuff. And so the fact that that's not happening anymore in these communities that were food deserts, it's like
they right around the corner from me. They still do their part, but you're talking about, back in the day,
I think they were called.
They were supplemental.
My question is, I felt like they were running more frequently than they are now, and so is it economically viable for these types of, like, so let's say, for instance, if you were to buy a bunch of produce in that area, like why I guess I'm trying to explore, why are those supermarkets shutting down? Like,
because you're Black.
You said because they was Black?
Because you're Black.
But I've seen places like
they're not changing owners. It's not a new owner coming and they're shutting down. These places are closing down.
Both neighborhoods are Black. They make the excuse that they leave poor neighborhoods because Blacks can't support a big box, but we know that's a lie. Black people support big box. They finally just put some big boxes out Liberty Road, including Walmart, Home Depot, your big name stores. We do have the money to support it, but this is a racist country. It's still racist. like 1921, Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
All of them upwardly mobile black people on Liberty Road got to go to Ricestown to get some damn produce.
That's where we got to drive our resources to.
So this is the thing I would ask. Because I recently moved from Prince George's County some years ago, and there was a shopping center in the Largo area where Magic Johnson Theater was at. And I remember that shopping center opening just like 17 years ago. Now they had to repurpose it. They put a hospital there. And
is that where last night was down by the football field, FedEx Field?
Yeah. So now I'm wondering that mall just totally shut down. You know, like and most of the malls in Prince George's County, it's that turnover like that. Then you hear people, black people, I only shop in Virginia, Northern Virginia. I go to the movie theater in Virginia. And so I'm like, when the economic viability, we got to explore that. Like, for instance, one thing I would say is I've been seeing people show me a bunch of messages, and I've yet to go there. I've been planning to go there, but close friends of ours have gone to the Black Swan. And there's a lot of negative comments I've seen by black people about the experience there. And so I'm like, is it a case of the white pie tastes better than the black pie? Like, is that inferiority complex where we think it's just automatically because the white person made it that their pie is going to be better? Or is there some substance to they aren't putting out the proper product or service? You know, like, I think we got to explore that and figure out what is really going on.
You have black white supremacists, Sam. Mm-hmm. In 2021, Carde, there are still black people who believe the white man's ice is colder. Ice freezes at the same degrees.
You got dark-skinned white people out here.
Well, okay. Sam, we got a black mayor, a black comptroller, a black city council president, a majority black city. So what does that mean?
Black.
What is it?
What you're saying is all skin folk is not kinfolk. I mean, I think it's a great posit, because clearly black political power has not translated into any sort of black prosperity, black, like improvement. And when you're looking at the Baltimore City and Prince George's County in particular, the two jurisdictions in Maryland that have that black leadership, their populations, the school systems are the worst in Maryland. The crime rates are the worst. It's like you're seeing it doesn't translate, and so I can see where you're going at with that. Yeah.
Carde, what has changed in 21217 since Freddie Gray? And I don't mean, we've talked about the food deserts, but I want to talk about the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen in the drug culture since Freddie Gray that you never saw before?
I see people ODing almost daily. Now I don't know if it's from the heat or from the drugs, but I was over the wintertime, I've had to wake people up, call an ambulance, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, right at Penn North, right on Pennsylvania Avenue, not far, like not going all through the city, just right here in the 21217. I'm seeing more.
Say it, man.
I want to say younger people, but I guess I was young when I was selling drugs. Like,
did you ever see white people buying dope in the hood before?
All the time.
Yeah. Well, it's more prevalent now, though. Yeah, you're seeing the white junkies up there.
We're in an aided time. It's COVID and people getting monies that they usually would not get. So you're seeing people with the resources to be able to not just buy what they used to buy a year ago, but 10 times more.
But they're much more in the community purchasing now.
Yeah.
They're much more over there. Yeah.
When you got money, you can hang around a little bit more when you got money. White, especially when you buying from us. If you bring your money to me. Come down there.
Cardi,
Come from Carroll County or whatever. I seen a guy laid out in front of the Avenue Bakery. And I told him, I said, bro, it was some guys who got him out the street from in front of their cars. He said he was about to get hit. Asked this guy where he come from. He said out some county. I said, man, and I'm thinking to myself, guys, well-dressed, got a work badge on, passed out from drugs. Passed out from drugs. I'm like, why does he come? Why didn't he wait? Why you don't wait to get back to where you come from to do your drugs? I guess it was the drugs. Maybe he wasn't used to what he got. Because it laid his ass out in the street. It laid him out in the street, in the streets, like in the traffic, before he could get to his destination.
Carde, prior to Freddie Gray, white people would get pulled up as soon as they stepped on Pennsylvania Avenue by the police. Since Freddie Gray, since the police have taken a knee, white people are in my alley calling me a effing N-word because I tell them,
Donnie,
do your drugs in my alley.
I'm in the house right now is because my son in school, right? I would have been having this conversation with you out in the community, right? And one of my go-to spots is where the white people go at to shoot up. And I tell them, I run them out of there. This is my hole. It's my hole. You don't come back here and do that. You get too high, you nod off and burn something up. You go back to where you come from. Then my community is left with an eyes tour, a charred up building. You jump out the window when you get high and it start burning up and you leave. Nobody knows you were there. Firefighters come out, put it out. That's another eyesore.
Well, you know, one of my main problems is the needles.
Yeah.
Needles are everywhere. Everywhere.
I like to take my son back up in my hole where I like to go at. And that's something that I try to make him aware. Be careful where you step. And I shouldn't have to tell my son that.
Oh, you better.
We go to clean up some of these holes and we find 100 drug needles, 50 valves. We can lay them all out on the table. They in the cracks and crevices of the ground and every little plant that you can see. The parts that they give us to go to, that's where they come at and shoot up. 2-3 white people here, 2-3 white people there. Ask them where they live at, where they come from. Not from the 17. Most importantly, whether they from Baltimore or not. You're not from this. Get your stuff and go back home and use it. Go nod off in front of your mother in her house. You can't because she gonna put you out. You don't pay no bills. So you just come back here up in my hole where I like to bring my son and show him around in my community. You bring your toxic shit here. Now I gotta tell him to look out for the needles that you don't even have the dignity to throw away. Put a cigarette butt on the end of it. Throw it in a bottle. You feel me? And they throw the bottle on the ground. At least we ain't gotta worry about stepping on your dirty ass needle.
Sam,
man, I just sold my house.
I was trying to get Cardi to talk about this sense of entitlement because the white addicts come here and if you're not serving them drugs, they are damn near willing to knock you out the way with a sense of entitlement. Lady called me an effing N-word. Sir, do you own this alley? I said, well, by golly, I do. And you'd better leave here right now.
Yeah. I went through that experience. I just sold a house I was living in Union Square next to Holland's Market, and I'm cleaning up. I mean, literally last year during the pandemic where everything's touchy-feely with germs. I mean, guys were literally, or junkies. I don't know whether it's male or female, but they were pooping in my backyard that had a driveway. Literal poop. No toilet paper around there. And I'm having to figure a way to clean up human feces.
A shovel.
Man, it was irritating, you know, and then I'm cleaning up needles, sweeping up needles constantly. Yeah. So, and this was in my backyard, like the alley right behind the fence. So it was literally there, and I'm having to constantly maintain it because I was selling my house. So of course, you know, I can't have this out there, you know, it's a deterrent to the sale of my house. So literally that was a daily frustration. Like I'm feeling it, you know, so I totally relate to what you're saying. And I would say 99% of the people that were back there were white drug users. Yeah.
Sam, if we were over in Bolton Hill, Carde, if you were over in Bolton Hill with some heroin, what would happen to you? That's just a few blocks.
Donnie, I want to take the camera out there and go show people what happened. Man, it's totally different. It's totally different. Totally different. People run you out of there. They got the associations, and we got associations over this side, but they got their associations. They will run you out.
Now, the one thing though we can say,
we come across Utah. People come across Utah. They come across Utah. I've heard it say, this is where we come to do our dirt. This is where we come to do our dirt. Where I was born and raised, and where I'm gonna raise my son. I've heard people say that's where they come at to do their dirt. That's how they value what I see as gold. They come to do their dirt there.
So who I blame? I blame the drug dealers. I blame the drug dealers, the terrorists that sell the poison, because they could at least tell them, you got to go, cop and bop. But they do cop and bop, and then they come in my alley.
I think when they say the cart before the horse, one of the things you would not see in Bolton Hill is that open air drug market either. So when we're seeing the junkies stay in the community that they
Addict Sam, it's politically
correct. Like midget versus short person or something. But when we see the addict in the same area that they just purchased the drug, it makes sense that it wouldn't be in the Bolton Hill because they're not allowing that open air drug market either. I think,
but they can come over here and bring their Bolton Hill drug addiction to our neighborhood. I saw the police right behind my house pull up a white boy Sunday morning, took his dope, put him in handcuffs, and after he told him whatever he told him, they took the handcuffs off of him. Sam, before Freddie Gray, see, people are surprised about this gun trace task force. Carde, have you ever heard that if somebody get locked up or they tell the police where a gun is, they'll get let go?
Yes. I've witnessed it.
If you tell them where a gun is, you get let go.
I've witnessed it. I've witnessed somebody take them to a gun. I've witnessed it.
And they're taking them to their gun or somebody else's guns?
Somebody else's gun.
They want a gun.
That's effectively
all they want is a gun. All they want is a gun. I don't know what that does for them. I remember having an officer tell me, we don't got nothing to charge y'all with. We go to the back of the car, we spin the wheel. So you get a gun off of him to go and take somebody else from another community and say, we found this gun. It's your gun now. Now you tell us XYZ about him and him. Or this is your gun. This is your gun. Because our report is what's going against you. We seen you run XYZ, and wasn't no cameras back there. So we seen you, we were in a covert position. We seen you go from here to there. You talk to that person too. So now they in the conspiracy too. Now we're gonna pull them in. You seen him get that gun, right? No, we ain't seen him get that gun. Oh, you ain't seen him get the gun? All right, you come with us. We put you in the other car. We talk to you while they talk to him.
So are you saying there's no street consequence for snitching?
The police have no consequences for putting people in these positions. But some years, more than 10 years ago, there's a story about some friends of mine up on Gilmore who they took out to somewhere without their shoes. Just let them go.
You remember that? They took that boy out Howard County.
Well, just let him go.
And made him walk back home with no shoes.
I remember being 17 and being familiar with my city, or as familiar as I thought I was with my city. I remember turning 20 and then going over East Baltimore and saying some places that if you would have blindfolded me and let me out, I wouldn't know my way. How the fuck you take these kids out? Any county. How are they supposed to get back? This is an adult who has a job, who went through a training that I would believe to be intense. I was a driver and I went through an intense training. They are officers who went through training. And that's what they do. The trained officers who come out here to patrol our communities, who don't live in our communities, come to try to dictate to us what to do. They would take him. That was when I was a youth. I don't know what happened when y'all were youth. You can only imagine. But when I was a youth, it took some of my friends out there. And that's just one story. I had another friend who they took into a house raid. When he asked their name, he said that they punched him. The officer punched him. He said, "You want to know my last name? You want to know my last name?" These are things that probably happen every day in somebody's life who's just who is selling drugs, who is trying to provide for their family, doing it the wrong way. But even that person don't deserve to be treated like that. Not by somebody who's sent there to protect and serve, or so-called protect and serve. How do I tell my son to have respect for a person who's willing to manipulate their position in our community and treat my son's friends a different type of way? But I'm telling my son to respect them. I remember having an officer in my community who I would call officer friendly until the day he locked my father up for trespassing across the street from my grandmother's house in his work uniform, sitting on the vacant steps that we always sit on. That was officer friendly to me prior to that day.
Was this back during zero tolerance, Martin O'Malley?
I guess I was about 15, so I don't know. That was 2005, 2004, around that time.
Yeah, that was his last couple years. Yeah,
that was Martin O'Malley, zero tolerance.
Yeah. I'm familiar with zero tolerance. As a parent, I do zero tolerance. As a child, I've got zero tolerance. And from official standpoints, I see how ICE operates. They operate on zero tolerance. And it seems like that's how some of these officers operate around here. They don't have patience. They don't want to love is understanding. They don't want to understand.
Okay, but Carde, since Freddie Gray, it's been quite the opposite of zero tolerance. It's been anything goes.
Anything goes. You can get smoked in front of the police. They might turn their back. They might turn their back so that they don't see it. Not because they are a part of it. They just might not want to see it. That's how they can write it up in their report. It happened while I turned my back. I turned my back and the guy was on the ground. I heard the shot. I don't want to see who did it. Don't want to see who did it.
I would ask a question now, Donnie, and if you're human nature, basically, right? And you're an employee, you're a police officer, and you've been allowed to make a significant amount of money for the last 3 to 4 years where you're not policing these communities the way you were prior. No matter who's the mayor, no matter who's the police commissioner, how will they then turn it on and start policing correctly? How does that one person, with human nature, there's no incentive you can give him now because he's getting paid the same, if not less, to now do more work.
Like I told these officers, I don't get paid for what I do. If I take a bullet, there's no team coming to take care of me. When brothers in my community is going through it and somebody pulls out a gun, we can't run on the ground. I've heard officers say, "Oh, we run to where the gunshots at." Me too. I do the same thing. I don't get paid. I don't have a team behind me. I'm coming to diffuse the situation. I'm not coming
is how do we expect the policing's gonna just basically, if we're honest with ourselves, how do we expect the policing's gonna improve? No matter what we establish, no matter what law we establish, nature.
Zero tolerance, lock them up when they do something wrong. Stop protecting them when they do something wrong. We're
talking about how are we going to ensure they do their job?
Let them face the consequences when they do something wrong.
Meaning, like, if they just do nothing at all, they can't do nothing wrong, though.
If they do nothing at all and you're sitting and you're getting overtime and you're making $100,000 a year to be in my community, and when I say hello to you, you don't speak, or if I walk by you, you don't speak, or I see you disrespecting somebody in my community, and when I check you on that, you want to put me in cuffs, you need to be taken away from here.
But what if they don't put you in cuffs?
You need to be taken away from here. If you can't correct your tone in my community, you need to be taken away from here. If I come up to you in a calm tone and I'm telling you, this is my brother, let me just talk to him real quick. I understand you got a job, but I can probably calm him down. And you telling me, sir, I need you to back up. We need backup. Now you got 30 officers here. For a situation, I could have calmed that guy down.
No, my question is, what if they let you calm the guy down, but they do nothing on regular crime or on like reported crime, like a shooting or whatever? They do nothing to prevent it.
You don't go out on Pit North now. I'm hoping that nobody's getting shot right now. But
this is not a fair question, Sam. It's not a fair question. You know that policing has changed since Freddie Gray. Police have taken a knee. Now, Sam, this is a chance for you to educate the rest of us. When a new man takes over, what is it that a lot of us don't understand?
So the one thing you don't understand is that there's a strong likelihood the new mayor has no clue what they're getting themselves into. And so one example would be, Donnie, if you were hiring somebody and you were paying them a high salary, in no way, shape, or form would you pay them that high salary for them to ask you to give them a couple years to learn the job, to learn while they're doing the job. However, we're allowing mayors to do that. And like one example would be typically the collective bargaining agreements for the police unions are typically 2 to 3 years. I don't know the exact number, but usually when the mayor comes into office, they're already in place. So that if there's a collective bargaining agreement that allows for disability pay, disability leave, overtime, all of these different things, and you're coming in like, say, a Brandon Scott and say, I'm going to reduce the police budget. You're speaking from a level of ignorance because you don't even know that the budget is already submitted before Henry Raymond. And he's got, we got to like break it up. You don't even know that. And a good portion of the budget has built-in overtime. And the built-in overtime comes because there's potentially a third of the police force that's not working and getting paid their full pay. So for a police officer to do that one shift, they're not only paying the police officer time and a half to do that shift that the other person's not working, but they're paying the person who's doing the shift time and a half on top of the monies that he's already made.
And so, you're saying a new mayor does not know this is going on?
Not before he gets there. Once he gets there.
But he's been on the city council for 10 years. So as a city council person.
So that person, so let's say, we're just talking about, obviously we're talking about a particular person. So we're talking about this person.
Stephanie, Jack, Brandon, all had
Pew wasn't city council, but the other people, yes. The other people, yes. And you would think that they'd have some familiarity.
Sam, Pew was a councilwoman at one point.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're saying those people, they should have much more access than the average person. Yeah, I agree. And mind you, I ain't here to blame the famous. They're coming in with a level of maybe voluntary ignorance, if you want to say, like maybe they just don't want to read.
This is the part educated in Baltimore City public schools.
This is the part that's troubling about the mayor is that, and many of us don't remember this, but before 2-3 years ago, he was in cahoots with the police. Everywhere you saw the cops, you saw him agreeing with the police on everything. So now he can claim ignorance of what they're dealing with.
Right.
Now it's like, through that election, it was like he was a whole different person towards the police. I like loyalty. If if me and you been boys and I'd have moved up, I don't forget you. I don't play like I forget you. No kind of way. That's my man's in them.
Yes.
But I don't see that here. It's kind of like today you're my friend, the next day I'm gonna bust you in the head.
But one of the things that we learned from growing up in the streets is that there are consequences to disloyalty. And I think if we translated that into the professional world, there'd be more reluctance to be disloyal, like you're speaking to. And I think until we start applying consequences to people who are talking out both sides of their mouths, it's going to keep happening.
We lose because we put all our eggs in the Democratic basket, period, end of story. And white people run the Democratic Party in Baltimore. And I might be giving them too much credit, but I would say the O'Malley machine has been the consistent thread in Rawlings Blake, in Pugh, and in Brandon's administration. That's what I think. The same cast of characters. Do we have anybody new at City Hall? Or is it the same gang? It's the same gang.
I think the one thing that most people don't know is that City Hall is useless. Like, I mean, what type of power do they really have? I think
to take people's houses for water bill.
Mind you, they pretty much they meet, they do an agenda, they pass a law, but it has to be enforced by the mayor's office. And in most instances, there are a lot of laws out there that are not being enforced, like the MBE, WBE. We could go down the list of so many laws that are just in place that would help, that are just not being enforced. And so the average person that's running for city council is lying to people when they're lying to people when they're suggesting that they can do something when we know that they can. The person in the city council with the most power is the city council president. For the most part, the mayor makes a lot of decisions without strong consideration from the city council, and so they're disingenuous if they're suggesting that they can do anything more than.
Carde, tell us who you have with you.
This is my son. This is Carde Cornish III. Say what's up.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Cornish?
Bonjour, monsieur. ¿Cómo se va? ¿Cómo está? Hola, ¿qué pasa? Salamu alaikum. Carde, what do we do about the city of Baltimore and the lack of attention we're getting in West Baltimore, East Baltimore? What do you think?
Which Carde are you talking to?
The daddy.
I knew he was writing me.
Man, how I engage that is just stepping up, being visible in my community, and trying to advocate for other people to look around. Look when you come out your door. Don't ignore what you see. If there's a problem, come up with a solution. Don't look for somebody else to come up with a solution, because the problem still be there if you're waiting for somebody else.
Well, Carde,
like shit in your driveway. Like, we can call the city and say, hey, they keep pooping in my driveway. It's a problem. And I need somebody to come out and clean it up. And they'll say, okay, we'll put you on the list. And you be way at the back of the list. Or you can go out there and you can engage those people who shitting and say, in some way you can engage them. Maybe they won't stop that. But maybe you can engage them and get them to start doing some different things. Maybe you can, I don't know. Why would you do this? I don't know. Maybe you can invite them into your house. Maybe you can feed them. Maybe you can have a conversation with them. Maybe you can treat them like a human. Maybe they've never been treated like a human, so they go out and poop on your driveway like a dog. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they're in such a darkness and such a toxic place in their life and physically in the world, in their community. They hang around other people who probably shit in your driveway. So what they see is normal to them. Somebody needs to talk to them, have a conversation with them, maybe cook for them, get them to do some regular things so that they can see that they're human. How we behave sometimes is animalistic.
Well, you think we got problems? I want you to go out to Portland, Oregon. You're going to see homelessness and the issues magnified. But Carde, why don't you pose a question to your son? Is this his first interview?
This will be your first interview. How do you feel about e-learning, learning online instead of going in class and being with your friends? How do you feel about that? Do you like it? Is it cool? Do you wish you was in class?
I kind of like it.
What you like about it? You don't know what you like about it? You like being home? You like not having to get your uniform on? You like the lunch that you get at home?
And I like not having to put my uniform on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But I still want to go into class.
He still want to go in the classroom.
You like school, Carde?
Yeah.
I love school, man.
You're even in school.
I still go to school. I'm working on my master's degree. And this guy beside me got a law degree. You know anything? You know any lawyers?
No.
Not yet.
This kind of lawyers. Mr. Sam Curry, attorney at law.
Yeah. We plan on starting some businesses. We might need to call them up and get some advice or something.
Well, let's talk about this, Sam. What is the state of black business? You know, Arnold Jolivet. You remember Arnold Jolivet?
I know the name. I don't remember.
Well, he fought City Hall on behalf of black businesses more than anyone. He sued them.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, Boston, a group in Boston, the Boston Economic Alliance, BECMA, they sued the city of Boston for failing to deliver contracts to the minority businesses there, i.e. the black businesses. Mm-hmm. What is the problem in the city of Baltimore when black businesses are not getting a respectable share of the minority business enterprise contracts? Yet the city has no problem. As soon as the mayor came in, he approved a multi-million-dollar contract for the speed light cameras, $42 million.
So you had Tamara.
What's the state of black business?
You had Tamara on, I believe, last week, and you also had the person running the office, the MBWB office, on your show.
Oh, no. Sean works, he doesn't work for MBU. He works over in Paul Taylor's office. MBU is under the law department.
Yeah. So there's really no true enforcement arm. There's no real true penalty that's really, if they were to do, like if you were to do an MPIA request and to just do statistics on how many times, like what percentage are actually cooperating with the current law, right? Which the current law is strong enough. And to say, how is it being enforced? What's happening to the contractors that are not complying with those requirements? If you look at it, there's no penalty. There's been no penalty to larger contractors who have requirements to get minority subs. If they're refusing to get those subs, even when it's brought to the office's attention, there's been no punishment. And so if there's no punishment,
it's a joke.
Yeah. So when you talk about the state of black business, there's two components. There's the government-funded black business, which you're referring to, where which is a very large amount of money that's in play, taxpayer money. But then there's also private sector business. And one of the things you would want to ask, okay, why are there in a majority, predominantly black city, why are there no large black law firms? Why are there no large black accounting firms? Why are there no large black medical groups? Like, so now you got a private sector function too, in terms of figuring out why doesn't black businesses that are anything besides a mom and pop shop, a smaller shop, why are they not survivable in a predominantly black city? So now it becomes a bigger question that you got to ask.
Carde, why do we keep on voting for people who fail us?
I don't know. I ain't vote this last round. I remember being pushed to vote. Not educated on anything like what a mayor does or what a council person does. We're just being told to, cast your vote in this direction. And I'm still educating myself. I started reading the United States Constitution so that I can have an understanding of what I'm participating in. There's a lot of people who don't know what they're participating in when they vote. And they put a lot of responsibility on people who may not even know what they are doing in the position that they're in. I've been told, oh, you should run for council person. I haven't been told you should go learn what council people do. So, you might fit that. But you got a bunch of people being told, hey, you should probably run for mayor.
But Carde, I thought you lived not far from where Elijah Cummings lived.
You know, I don't know if it was a class that they taught in school. I don't remember taking it.
But didn't Elijah Cummings live near you?
Yes, he did. Right around the corner, directly around the corner. I could show you his house. I could show you the top of his house from my window. Yeah.
Damn, you ain't got nothing to say about him?
Man,
because they talking about they put him all on the news like no disrespect, but you live right around the corner. I figure you be jumping up and down. Oh, that's my man's in there.
Listen, no, that is. I remember being a young person, and I think I had an incident. I had gotten me and my friend got chased, fell off of school, and bust my chin up and stuff. I remember my mother taking me down to his office, like to get things situated with whatever that was going on. I was like 12 at the time. And I remember when I started working at Joy Heights, I would be going for breakfast the same way I would see Donnie at the Avenue. I see Elijah Cummings, Burger King. Speak to the man like, really great guy. He never was standoffish. He'd stop. He'd be on the phone call. He'd stop and engage with you. So I can admire a man like that. Don't know the extent of his career as far as politics. I'm not educated on that. That's just me. But as a man in the community, I can't say I've seen him every day in my community engaging with people on the ground. He was at work for the most part, I guess. But pretty decent.
Did your neighborhood improve because of him?
Say again?
Did your neighborhood improve because of him?
I know that his block has an association and they have speed bumps. So his block improved. I don't know if that was due to his influence when he was here or not, but I know that the block that I grew up on, many accidents have happened around that area. No speed humps.
Man, we sent people to Congress to bring back millions and billions for our black neighborhoods so we can have some brand new recreation centers like we've never had before, some schools in neighborhoods like Sandtown. Instead of closing schools, they're opening up schools. We don't want to see people out on television. We want the money.
Right. I got a son who goes to school up closer to Park Heights than here. His mom lives closer to Park Heights than here. But the school that I went to was merged with another school that my friends went to, and that school was closed down, and there's a shelter, and I don't know what they're doing with it, but it's not a school anymore. I don't know where kids are going, like the overflow. He's sending kids anywhere.
What happens to a neighborhood when you close the school, Carde? Final question.
Chaos. Parents lose their jobs. Parents turn to the streets, and the saga and the cycle continues. Kids aren't educated. Kids aren't seeing teachers, but they're seeing their parents might valing something up, putting some weed together, because now their parents got to do something to make money, and they can't afford. They got to do something to get child care. I can't show up at work with this kid. My job don't want me constantly, the school shut down. I'm trying to get things situated. But we got to replace you. We need somebody to come in. But what you going to do to make money?
Are you optimistic, Sam?
It's impossible to be optimistic with the current status quo. It's impossible. I think there's nothing that's changed or has the potential to change that would lead you to believe anything otherwise.
I respect and appreciate all three of you black men for joining us today. Sam, Carde, and Carde. Carde, we want you to do well in school, my friend. I hope you learned some musical instruments. Can you draw?
Yeah.
Okay, well, learn that guitar. And I hear they got piano lessons. They got piano lessons now at Druid Heights.
Yeah. I just signed him up. Hey, a plug, Joy Heights. Sign your kids up for that camp. Come around, see what's going on in the Joy Heights community. If you're a resident, we got something going on Saturday, something going on nearly every day. If you run into me in the community, we can make something happen. We can make something happen. If you got ideas, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Let's not sit back no more. Get your kids, come out in our community. Let's ride bikes. Let's ride scooters. Let's ride skate. Let's go out and make noise with the kids. Let's bring some instruments out to one of these many parks that Stephanie Rawlins Blake started with this beautification thing. Let's do it.
Hey, Carde, I want to give you one lesson in politics. When you see a bike lane in your neighborhood that you never saw before, that means the white people coming, okay?
Listen,
Regentrification.
I've seen white people running their dogs through my community on the avenue. It's been happening for a couple years now, and I feel like that was a after Freddie Gray thing. You never see white people jogging through Pennsylvania Avenue by the Avenue Market.
Well, maybe they're just the Starbucks. I don't know. Sam, your final thoughts. You got to leave us with something upbeat, Sam.
I like the fact that people like you, there are a lot of people that are your guests, are very intelligent. I do see the future. I see Carde Cornish. I see different people that have a passion for Baltimore, really want the best. Even many of the politicians, before they become politicians, they have a passion for the city. I think that passion is something that's organic. And I do think that at some point, people are going to try something different and it's going to work.
So, Sam, here's the billion-dollar question. We did a whole hour of setting you up. Will you run for mayor?
I would never run for mayor. I would never do that. That would never be something I would.
I see those Sam Curry for mayor flyers, man.
I would never do that. I don't think there's a reason why Brandon Scott gave himself a raise. I think it's a job that you gotta have some serious ego to want to be in that position.
All we want is some semblance of knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's like we lost him, buddy.
It looked like he got kicked. I don't know. He might come back in.
Yeah. So you got a program over, you say, in the Druid Heights area?
What happened to me in my school?
I think the mayor just zapped my call, but we're gonna talk about that.
You badmouthed him enough, man.
We haven't even started.
He got his goons out waiting for you, man.
We haven't even started. But anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you for loving Baltimore. Thank you for being here in Baltimore. And big ups to Carde. And hope that cereal is good. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, Daddy. All right, take it.
We'll be back at 7 p.m. tonight. Thanks again, Carde. Bye-bye. Do well in school. Learn that music, man. We're proud of you, Carde. We're proud of your daddy, too.
You hear that?
We're very proud of your daddy. Much love, kid. I'm out.
Enjoy your day, man.
Yes, big brother.